Have you ever wondered what makes one woman unforgettable, while others seem to fade from his memory like background noise? It's not always about looks, charm, or even how much he likes you. The truth is deeper and more powerful. There's a psychological blueprint that can make a man crave you, not just want you, but need you in his life like a drug. And in this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to tap into that craving. But first, I want you to forget everything you've been told about playing hard to get or texting rules. This isn't about games, it's about understanding the emotional triggers that form deep, lasting attraction. When you activate these in the right way, he'll feel drawn to you in a way he can't explain and can't resist. You don't need to change who you are. You don't need to pretend to be someone else. What you do need is to master a few key shifts in mindset, energy, and behaviority, moves that have a massive emotional impact. So whether you're just starting something new, trying to spark desire in a long-term partner, or finally want to stop chasing and start attracting, this is the moment to learn what really works. Stay with me, because by the end of this video, you won't just understand what makes him crave you, you'll become that woman he can't stop thinking about. Let's get started. When it comes to attraction, most people focus on surface level things, looks, fashion, maybe the right pickup lines. But the real magic of attraction lies much deeper inside the mind. If you want a man to crave you, you need to understand what really activates desire in the male brain. Spoiler, it's not just physical, it's psychological. Attraction begins with a sense of emotional stimulation. That means he needs to feel something when he's around you. Curiosity, excitement, challenge, even a little tension. The male mind is wired to pursue what feels slightly out of reach but emotionally rewarding. So if you're always too available, overly predictable, or trying too hard to please, you're missing out on the opportunity to create that mental spark that makes you unforgettable. Now here's the kicker. Men are subconsciously drawn to women who create a narrative, a story that makes them feel like they're on a journey. Think of yourself as a chapter in a thrilling book he doesn't want to stop reading. To do that, you need to be more than just kind or pretty. You need to be interesting, share opinions, be passionate. Leave a little room for mystery. When he's not sure what's coming next, his brain stays engaged. Another important psychological factor is emotional mirroring. People are attracted to those who reflect their ideal self. If you can subtly mirror the qualities he's proud of, whether it's ambition, humor, or depth, he'll subconsciously feel more connected to you. But this doesn't mean becoming a version of him. It means recognizing what matters to him and allowing those traits to shine through your interaction. Also, don't underestimate the role of validation through contrast. When you give praise or attention sparingly and sincerely, especially after you've shown you're not easily impressed, it lands harder. The male brain is reward-driven. If your attention feels earned, it becomes valuable. If it's given freely to anyone, it loses its psychological impact. There's also something called emotional pacing. You want to build attraction the way a song builds tension before the chorus. If you reveal everything emotionally or physically too soon, there's no space left for craving. But when you reveal pieces of yourself, gradually letting him earn access to deeper layers, you engage both his curiosity and his desire to invest more. Lastly, and perhaps most importantly, is emotional safety with a twist. The perfect psychological balance is making him feel safe enough to be himself while keeping just enough unpredictability to stay intriguing. This creates a kind of emotional roller coaster, not dramatic, but dynamic, and that's what keeps his mind hooked. So remember, real attraction isn't about manipulation or being someone you're not. It's about triggering specific psychological responses that awaken desire, spark connection, and build emotional investment over time. Once you understand that, you'll never have to chase love again, because love will come chasing you. Mystery is one of the most powerful tools in attraction, and yet it's often misunderstood. Most people think being mysterious means being cold, distant, or playing hard to get, but true mystery isn't about being unavailable. It's about creating depth and curiosity. It's about letting him wonder what's going on in your mind, even when you're right in front of him. You see, the human brain is wired to seek resolution. When there's a gap in knowledge, especially emotional knowledge, our minds become obsessed with filling in the blanks. So when you reveal just enough to spark interest, but not everything, you activate his curiosity. And curiosity is the gateway to desire. One of the biggest mistakes women make is thinking they need to prove they're worth loving by over-explaining, oversharing, or being overly agreeable. But here's the truth. If a man feels like he has you all figured out in the first few conversations, there's no mental pursuit, no wonder, no craving. On the other hand, when you drop hints of your complexity, when you show that you have a rich, interesting world outside of him, he instinctively wants to know more. And that's where the craving begins. Mystery also means not reacting to everything. When you're not quick to explain yourself, justify your choices, or seek his validation, you communicate self-trust and the energy is magnetic. Instead of asking, did that come off okay? Or do you like this? Let silence work in your favor. Let your presence and confidence speak for itself. Let him wonder what you're thinking. It's also about pacing. Don't feel the need to give your entire life story on the first few dates. Share parts of yourself slowly, like peeling back layers. When you leave something unsaid or leave a story unfinished, it stays in his mind. He'll think about it later. He'll bring it up next time. He'll want to know more because people crave what's slightly out of reach. Don't always be immediately available. Let there be space between replies sometimes. Not because you're playing games, but because you're living a full life. A mysterious woman isn't pretending to be busy. She is busy cultivating her passions, goals, and inner world. Remember, being mysterious isn't about withholding affection. You can be warm, kind, and emotionally open and still maintain mystery. It's about knowing that not every detail needs to be on display. It's about valuing your emotional space and choosing what to share, when to share it, and how to make him earn deeper access to you. When a man feels like there's always more to discover about you, when he can't quite predict your next move but knows he feels good when he's around you, that's when the real obsession starts. That's when mystery becomes desire, and that's when he starts craving you, not just your attention. Confidence is one of the most irresistible traits a woman can have. It's not about being loud, bossy, or always in control. True confidence is quieter, deeper, and far more powerful. It's an energy you carry, a way of moving through the world that tells people without words that you know your worth and don't need external validation to feel whole. When it comes to attraction, confidence is magnetic. A confident woman doesn't chase, beg, or try to prove her value. She already knows it. And that self-assurance naturally draws people in, especially men. You see, men are instinctively attracted to women who know who they are, who have standards, and who are not afraid to walk away from anything that doesn't align with their value. This doesn't mean being unkind or arrogant. Confidence is never about making someone else feel small. It's about owning your space without apology. It's walking into a room and not shrinking yourself. It's speaking your truth without second-guessing it. It's laughing fully, expressing freely, and never dimming your light to make someone else feel more comfortable. In dating, confidence is the difference between waiting for a man to choose you and deciding if he fits into your life. A confident woman doesn't mold herself to win someone's approval. She shows up as she is and lets the right person rise to meet her. That shift in mindset changes everything. It puts you in the position of emotional power, where you're no longer reacting, you're leading the energy. Men can feel this energy instantly. It comes through in your eye contact, your body language, your tone of voice. When you believe you are worthy of being desired, respected, and loved, he starts to believe it too. Because attraction begins in the mind, but it's fueled by the emotions you project. One of the most powerful aspects of confidence is how it sets the tone for boundaries. A woman who respects herself doesn't overextend, overgive, or tolerate behavior that disrespects her. And when you have strong boundaries, not walls, but clear standards, you actually create a safer emotional space for a man to show up honestly. You're not controlling him, you're inviting him to meet you at a higher level. Confidence is also deeply linked to independence. Not the kind where you push people away, but the kind where your happiness isn't dependent on anyone else. When you have your own goals, your own passions, and a fulfilling life outside of him, it creates something incredibly attractive, emotional freedom. He doesn't feel pressured to be your everything, and that makes him want to be part of your world even more. So if you want him to crave you, start with this. Build your confidence from the inside out. Because when you carry yourself like someone who knows they are the prize, you don't have to convince anyone of your value, they feel it. And the right man won't just notice, he'll chase it. Your body speaks before you ever say a word. In fact, over 90% of communication is nonverbal. So if you want to turn him on not just physically, but mentally and emotional, mastering your body language is a secret weapon you can't afford to ignore. It starts with presence. A woman who is fully present in her body, who moves with intention and calm confidence, immediately stands out. When you walk into a room, don't rush or fidget. Move as if you belong there. Stand tall, shoulders back, chin slightly lifted. This posture says, I know who I am. And that silent statement is incredibly arousing to a man on a deep instinctual level. Eye contact is next. Not the kind that stares him down or feels forced, but the kind that lingers just a second longer than expected. Hold his gaze, then look away slowly. This momentary connection builds tension, curiosity, and attraction without needing a single word. It creates a dance of attention, and in that dance, desire is born. Your smile is also powerful. Not just any smile, but the kind that feels genuine and relaxed. A soft smile combined with steady eye contact tells him you're open, self-assured, and in control of your energy. It draws him in. And when you smile selectively, not at everyone, not all the time, you make your approval feel earned. That exclusivity is what makes it feel special and sexy. Touch is another tool when used sparingly and intentionally. A light brush on the arm during a laugh, a hand on his shoulder when leaning in to talk. A playful nudge. These tiny gestures light up the part of his brain linked to connection and chemistry. But the key is subtlety. When your touch feels natural, it stays on his mind long after you've pulled away. Your voice matters too. Slow down your pace, lower your tone slightly. Speak with calm certainty. A sensual voice isn't about being overly sultry. It's about owning your words and letting silence do half the work. Let him lean in to hear you. Let him feel the magnetism in your pauses. One of the most underrated yet powerful elements of body language is how you react to him. When you subtly mirror his posture, match his breathing pace, or reflect his energy in a grounded way, it creates a feeling of connection he can't explain. He feels seen, aligned, and in sync with you, and that sync is what builds attraction on a subconscious level. But perhaps the most attractive body language is confidence in stillness. You don't always need to move or react. Sometimes just holding your gaze, staying silent for a beat longer, or allowing space between your words can turn him on more than anything else. Remember, seduction isn't about being obvious. It's about creating tension, curiosity, and energy with your body. When you learn to express that through presence, eye contact, and subtle touch, you become unforgettable, not just to his eyes, but to his entire nervous system. If you want to keep a man thinking about you long after you've left the room or ended the conversation, it's not about constant contact or chasing his attention. It's about leaving a mental imprint that keeps replaying in his mind. The kind of impression that stirs curiosity, emotion, and anticipation all at once. When you understand how to do that, he doesn't just remember you, he becomes obsessed with you. One of the most powerful ways to stay on his mind is through emotional contrast. People don't remember average. They remember how you made them feel. So instead of always being predictable or overly agreeable, let there be moments where you surprise him. Be warm and inviting, then mysterious and introspective. Be playful, then suddenly deep. This dynamic energy keeps him emotionally engaged because his mind can't quite figure you out, and that puzzle becomes irresistible. Another powerful tool: leave something unfinished. Whether it's a story you were telling, a viewpoint you're about to explain, or a subtle comment that sparks his curiosity, leave space. Don't wrap every conversation in a neat bow. Leave a thread hanging. When there's something unresolved or open-ended, his brain naturally circles back to it. That's how you stay in his thoughts, without doing anything extra. Also, plant emotional anchors. This means associating yourself with specific emotions or moments. For example, share a unique passion or tell him about something unusual you love, like stargazing at 3 a.m., your obsession with old jazz records, or a childhood dream you still believe in. When he sees or hears something connected to that, he thinks of you. That's the power of association. It's subtle but unforgettable. Scarcity also creates mental impact. You don't need to be in his inbox or DMs 24/7. In fact, the less accessible you are, the more space there is for him to miss you. When he doesn't know exactly what you're doing, or when you'll message again, his imagination fills in the gaps. And often, the fantasy becomes more powerful than reality. You can also use memory triggers in your interactions, a unique phrase, a signature scent, a certain style, small but consistent elements that become yours. These details may seem insignificant, but over time they become psychological markers. He could be walking down the street, hear a word you always use, catch a whiff of your perfume, or see someone in your favorite color and suddenly you're on his mind all over again. Lastly, always leave on a high note. Whether it's a date, a call, or a casual chat, end the interaction when things are going well. Don't overstay. When you leave while the energy is still rising, he'll crave the next moment with you. That emotional interruption keeps him coming back. Remember, keeping a man thinking about you isn't about control, it's about resonance. Make him feel something unique. Leave space for his thoughts to wander back to you, and let the mystery build. That's how you don't just enter his mind. You stay there. Attraction might spark the interest, but emotional connection is what makes it last. It's the difference between a fleeting crush and a bond that keeps him coming back, not just for your beauty, but for you. When a man feels emotionally connected, he doesn't just want you. He feels safe, seen, and understood around you. And that's what creates depth, loyalty, and long-term desire. So, what actually builds emotional connection? It's not just about deep conversations or shared experiences, though those help. At its core, emotional connection is about being present, being real, and allowing him to do the same. It's about creating a space where he can let his guard down, even just a little, and know he won't be judged or rejected. Men often hide their deeper emotions behind humor, confidence, or even distance. Society teaches them to be strong and unemotional, which is why most men don't even realize how badly they crave emotional safety until they find it. When you're the woman who listens not just to what he says, but to what he doesn't say, who hears the pauses, the hesitations, the unspoken weight behind his words, you tap into a layer of connection most women miss. This doesn't mean you need to fix him, rescue him, or mother him. Emotional connection isn't about taking responsibility for his feelings. It's about holding space, allowing him to be vulnerable when he's ready, and honoring that without pushing, rushing, or trying to be everything all at once. The slower the trust builds, the stronger it becomes. Another powerful way to build emotional intimacy is through shared vulnerability. When you open up about your fears, your dreams, your past not, in a way that dumps emotional baggage, but in a way that invites connection, you give him permission to do the same. When he sees that you're real, layered, and emotionally grounded, he feels safe revealing more of himself. Also, emotional connection deepens through emotional attunement, matching his energy, being present in the moment, and understanding when to offer support versus when to simply listen. Sometimes connection isn't built through big talks, it's in the quiet moments. Sitting close without words, laughing over something silly, exchanging a glance that says, "I get you." And don't underestimate the power of consistency. When your words, actions, and energy are aligned, he learns to trust you. That reliability creates emotional security, which is deeply attractive, especially to someone who's used to people being hot and cold. The truth is, real emotional connection takes time, patience, and intention. But once it's there, it becomes the foundation of lasting chemistry. When he feels that he can be fully himself around you, that he's not just liked but understood, that's when he starts to fall, not just for your body or your smile, but for your soul. And that's the kind of craving that lasts. There's a big difference between someone liking you in the moment and someone wanting more of you again and again. That craving, that magnetic pull he feels when you're not around, isn't about giving him everything up front. It's about creating an experience with you that's emotionally rich, sensually layered, and just mysterious enough to make him want to keep exploring. So, how do you make him want more of you without trying too hard or playing games? It starts with one simple truth. You don't have to do more, you have to be more. More present, more expressive, more in tune with your own energy. When a woman is rooted in her self-worth, when she enjoys her own company, when she radiates joy, depth, and curiosity, she becomes addictive. Not because she's giving him constant attention, but because being around her feels different. To make him crave more of you, You must master the art of contrast. Show him light and depth, playfulness and seriousness, sensuality and strength. When you're multifaceted, he doesn't feel like he's figured you out, and that emotional unpredictability makes you unforgettable. It's not confusion, it's intrigue. Another secret? Leave emotional and sensory fingerprints. Create moments with him that stimulate more than just conversation. A shared laugh over an inside joke. A subtle touch that sends a charge through him. A scent he associates with your presence. These experiences embed themselves in his memory. Later, when he smells something similar, hears your laugh in his mind, or replays something you said, you return to him in waves. That's what keeps you lingering in his thoughts. Also, don't underestimate the power of pulling back at the right time. When everything feels electric, when the moment is building, when he's leaning in, that's when you pause. You end the night early. You leave the text unanswered a little longer. Not because you're playing hard to get, but because you understand that tension is the seed of desire. The best stories aren't rushed. They build, they tease, they leave room for anticipation. Let him pursue you, not because you're withholding, but because you value what you bring to the table. You are not here to entertain him. You're not here to prove yourself. You're here to be experienced. And when he experiences you as someone who adds value, energy, excitement, and emotional depth to his life, he'll want to come back again and again. The secret to making him want more of you isn't about perfection. It's about presence, energy, and leaving something unsaid, something unfelt, something just out of reach. That's where desire lives in the space between fulfillment and anticipation. When you can create that feeling in him where he's always one step away from truly having all of you, but he keeps wanting more, you've done more than attract him. You've captivated him. As we wrap up today's video, I want to leave you with a few lasting thoughts on how to keep that magnetic attraction alive and thriving over time. The key to lasting attraction is not about doing more. It's about being more, being fully present, confident, and aware of what you bring to the table. True attraction is built on emotional and psychological connections, not just physical chemistry. First, remember that authenticity is everything. The moment you start trying to be someone you're not, you lose your spark. Don't bend, twist, or shape yourself into someone you think he'll like. The most captivating women are those who are unapologetically themselves, who own their quirks, their passions, and their imperfections. When you show up as your true self, you become irreplaceable. Second, never stop investing in yourself. Whether it's pursuing your own passions, focusing on your goals, or nurturing your self-esteem, a woman who is constantly growing, evolving, and improving is one who will always be fascinating. When you're content in your own life, you don't need external validation. You become the kind of woman who draws others in simply by being confident and fulfilled on your own. Another essential element is emotional intelligence. The ability to understand and manage your emotions, as well as being attuned to his, is a major key in maintaining lasting attraction. When you can communicate openly, listen deeply, and navigate both conflict and connection with maturity, you create a deeper bond that goes beyond the superficial. And finally, space is important. Desire thrives on a little bit of distance. Letting him miss you, giving him room to pursue you, and keeping a sense of independence are all parts of the delicate dance that sustains attraction. A relationship is not about constant presence, but about creating moments of longing, anticipation, and excitement. The space between your time together makes the time you share even more valuable. The truth is, keeping someone captivated is less about doing tricks or playing games, and more about offering them a glimpse into a deeper connection. Be yourself, keep growing, and don't be afraid to let him see your layers. When you do this, you'll create a bond that's not only magnetic, it's unforgettable.